Welcome into our lives.
And welcome to the Expanders Club podcast.
We're so happy to have you.
Join us as we embark on a journey of deep exploration, soul searching, and asking the hard questions.
With the goal of truly understanding the most aligned, empowered, and purposeful versions of ourselves.
We want to live an extraordinary life, and we're willing to dig deep to find out what it takes.
Buckle up. You're about to meet a new version of yourself, an extraordinary one. Hello, friends, and welcome to the Expanders Club podcast. My name is Brooke Harris.
Hello, Brooke Harris. Maddie, Madeline Lucy over here on the mic.
The rebrand of Madeline Lucy. So professional. And we are so excited to have you guys here with us today. And hopefully you've been following along the journey. We share information, experiences, our own and others, that help in evolution, expansion, kind of creating your best life.
That's what we're here for. Hopefully we're inspirational, because we are certainly inspiring ourselves to create the best life possible, aren't we, Brooke?
We are, and it's been, I think, having the opportunity to record these episodes has accelerated the journey. Like, we were both already on it, but just shining a light on it and having, like, you know, you and the listeners as kind of accountability buddies has definitely sped things up for me.
Yeah, and the cool people we've got to meet and interview along the way. There's some incredible people doing some very inspiring work out there and who have just had amazing experiences and stories. And every time we have those deep dive chats, I always walk away so incredibly blown away.
Yeah, and I love how a lot of there's a portion of the information that's kind of like just reinforced every time too. You know, sometimes it's not the groundbreaking stuff. It's the thing that you need to hear for the 10th time before you get it and actually put it into practice. Exactly. At least that's been my journey. There's things I've been like hearing for years. I don't know if I told you this. I found an old journal like back in 2017, and it was like, it was as if I wrote it today. You know, it was like the same shit I'm talking about, you know, same like life goals, or, you know, they've evolved a bit, but it was like, okay, I've been working on this for a bit.
It is wild. I love reading back on my journals. Still same. Whenever I read back, I'm like, oh my God, I have been talking about this for so long, and now I'm like finally doing it.
Yeah.
It's crazy how long you have to hear about something and how it has to be in your sphere over and over again until you really, it sinks in.
Yeah, and sometimes you just need the right moment or the right motivator to actually make you execute on the things that you already know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, I have to tell you something that is
Please.
Very important. It's a very important message from Bazooka. For those of you, for those of you who don't know Bazooka, he is our he's our 17-year-old Maltese. He's a sweet little white dog that has been by my side since he was a baby. So everyone who knows me knows him and loves him. He used to come to the office with us. He used to come to the shop. So Maddie's babysat him many times. You know, he's very close to everyone who knows me, and he's been going through a bit of a health scare. So, of course, I decided to book an appointment with an animal communicator, an animal psychic, if you will, and just have a little conversation with him. And as you would imagine, Maddie, she was like blown away by what he had to say and how profound he was. Like, no surprise, right?
No surprise. Such a smart dog.
And I just wanted to share, she said, oh, he's very evolved. He's a master teacher. Like, he is here to help you guys learn some things. And like, if you ever want to come back and talk to him, he has much more to tell you. But he shared a really important message. And I think it's worth sharing with everyone, because it was a really good and simple reminder. Are you ready for it?
So ready. On the edge of my seat.
Okay. He said, please tell my family they might want to slow down. Because sometimes there's more info you can see if you slow down. you can notice things more, and you'll be happier if you slow down.
Bazooka. Wise words, my friend.
Yes. Isn't that wild? He also said, here's the more like bigger picture, profound stuff. He said, you will see the humans divide into two groups. Those who keep doing, and those who realize if they go slower, they will see more of what's really important. Silence is best so we can see what's really happening. It's helpful to just be.
Buddha, if you will. He's a monk.
I mean,
I
know. What a beautiful reminder. And this has kind of allegedly, the conversation that he also shared was this has come to him because he's recently had seizures and they've forced him to, he can't think as quickly, he can't move as quickly, he's processing things differently. And so these seizures have changed his perspective and made him realize this and made him want to share this with us. And now I'm sharing it with you. And no matter what you believe, I obviously 100% believe in this. Like, it would be weird to me to believe that we couldn't communicate with our pets and that they're not here to teach us something, So wherever you are on that spectrum, I think the message is pretty incredible. Just to slow down, because we're going to get a lot more out of life. Yeah, we're going to get a lot more out of life if we slow down.
It's a powerful one. It's a powerful message. I mean, that will always stick with me, Bazooka. Thank you for those wise words. Received.
And now I look at him whenever we're like zooming past or going nuts, and I'm like, oh yeah, we should slow down. And if nothing else, it's like, a good little, every time I look at him, I'm like, slow down, enjoy life. What's the rush?
Yeah, he's just chilling. I mean, animals are just having a good time. Recently when I was up in Big Sur and I saw the sea otters just laying back, arm in arm, just floating in the water. I was like, oh, the dreamy life you guys are living. Just chilling.
Sea otters are pretty cool.
Yeah, they're living and breathing it. Speaking of animals, can I tell you what happened on the weekend?
Oh my God, please do.
We were up in Tahoe, and I know you weren't far, you were just inland at Napa, both up in Northern California. What a time of year to be up there. Tahoe Lake in the summer is outstanding, let me just add. Pure, clear, blue, crystal water. Absolutely stunning. Went swimming in the lake. It was amazing. But we were camping right near the lake, and we were warned. I didn't think it would actually happen.
Oh, God.
But we did indeed get a visit from a bear. 3 nights in a row, we got a visit from a big black bear. And it had got into the bear box that you're meant to lock your food up into in the campsite next to us. And it had, they called 911 because they were freaking out, and the sheriff got there. And as the sheriff got there, the bear just had its face in a big bag of s'mores, s'mores ingredients. Oh my God, so funny. But it wasn't funny at the time. We're pretty terrified. The sheriff scared it off, like bang, 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 bang. It went away. And then I came out of the tent. Me and Leash came out of the tent, and I went over and spoke to the sheriff after the bear had gone. And I was like, should we be scared? And one sheriff goes, nah. And the other guy goes, yep. And I was like, oh, great. And then they're like, they'll be back as well, by the way. And we're like, cool. We'd made up. And as a responsible camper, you absolutely have to make sure all your food is locked up.
Absolutely, yes.
If the bear's getting into it and then it's a threat to you or it threatens you, then, I heard a story. They put down the bears. It's awful.
Oh, yeah. No, they do. There's like a 3-strike policy. If the bear, and I don't know how this ends. Hopefully it's not there. But yes, we learned that at a animal rescue we went to once, a wilderness animal rescue, 3 strikes. If the bear has 3 encounters with humans, they then quote unquote put it down.
No, that is awful. And I heard about these people on TikTok trying to get this video footage of this grizzly bear, and they left food out on purpose. And then the grizzly bear came for the food, and it nudged one of them out of the way, and they put that online, and then they went and put the bear down.
So ignorant. That's so ignorant.
So ignorant. That a story I just heard, but this did not happen in this instance. The black bear lives on that we met in Tahoe on the weekend. It did come back, and it we could hear the footsteps, and it brushed past our tent, and Leash and I were shivering in our boots. It was. I will say I don't get that scared often. Like maybe when I'm in the middle of the ocean, sometimes I have a thought of a shark. But when we really knew that the bear was right next to our tent,
my God.
I was like, and the sheriff had just told me that the bear the night before had shredded this person's tent to smithereens to get food out of it. And I just had a moment. I was like, if this is how we end, this is how we end.
This is it. Oh my God. Oh my God. Well, how did it get into the box? Did the people not secure it properly?
I think they might have had a faulty one. I don't know. These bears are smart. My friends were in Tahoe as well, and they had their RV, and on the way back from Burning Man just on the weekend, and another bear had got into their RV with her 3 cubs, and they had ripped the whole thing apart in terms of all the food, and they'd got into the honey. They found all the Manuka honey and went through all of it. But they got in, they opened the door. Like they're smart.
No, they're really smart. At the same rescue that I'm talking about, we watched them feed the bears, and we literally watched a bear sit there and peel an orange with its hands as a human would. It was unbelievable. Dennis and I were both just like, holy shit, that's amazing. Like, yeah.
That's
really
incredible.
Smart.
My other friend who was in Tahoe, wow, sorry, a lot of bear stories. This was a few months ago. They had a bear break into their cabin, and she came down in the middle of the night because she heard something, and the bear was just standing there with the fridge open, with a pizza box open, and had eaten a slice of pizza, but like perfectly picked up a piece of pizza and left the rest.
He's like, I'm not going to be rude here. I just want one slice.
Yeah, excuse me, just a slice. Oh my God. So polite bears up there in Tahoe.
Yeah, it's wild. It's incredible, but also like it is pretty scary. Like what forces a bear to come find human food and also learn these things as part of their survival skills, and then the consequences for the bears. Yeah, because we're invading their space.
Well, exactly. Like number one, we're in their territory, so very fair. But I guess maybe they've always been like this, but they're really hungry.
This might accelerate my desire to learn how to communicate with animals. Maybe I need to, speed that up. I'll go up there, have a chat with the bears, let them know, figure out what they need to not get into people's stuff and, save themselves.
Find out what the bears need. Yeah, we need to save them.
Yeah. I'll keep you guys posted on that journey.
What an honor it would be to speak to bears.
That is how I die, by the way, by some kind of animal attack.
Could you also speak to the sharks while you're there? I need to have a chat with them.
For sure. I'm just seeing my future flash before my eyes, and there's a death in my future from animal attack.
Or it could be beautiful.
It's not for a long time. Oh, it's beautiful until it's not, like your boy Steve Irwin.
Steve Irwin, I was just about to say that.
R.I.P.
Miss you, Steve. All right.
And however, all of this has zero to do with
anything in the episode today. So far from it.
Although I guess if we wanted to bridge the gap, it could be about, one of the things we have Jewel Zimmer, who is a brain health trainer, brain health coach on. And she does say one of the most important factors for brain health is nature and having that peaceful alone time. So I guess,
we're tapped
it
in.
Relates.
I do feel smarter this week having spent time in nature. So good to know.
Yes. And survive. You must have a new appreciation for life having survived a bear encounter.
Spot on.
But the conversation is really fun. A lot of really powerful information. I think brain health is starting to be a bigger subject, but I think it doesn't get the attention that it deserves, and certainly a lot in our day-to-day. We don't give our brains the attention they deserve. We're thinking about our physical appearance, our physical state. We're thinking about spirituality. We're thinking about breath work, whatever the things. And then at the same time, I can come out of a meditation or like a breathwork session, and then all of a sudden, somehow 3 minutes later, I'm like scrolling on my phone.
I know.
It's wild, which fully impacts the brain. And that's something we get into. And one of the things we talk about Jewel gives us a ton of information on, the best practices for a healthy brain. But one of the things that we talk about, which you told me is a little bit of a buzzword right now, is a dopamine detox. And we talk about the impact of, we'll do social media to start, but dopamine, anything that's like giving you these excessive dopamine hits. I think most of us can relate to social media. But we talk about the fact of how much that is impacting the brain, and all of these dopamine hits are actually like ruining our ability to naturally create dopamine and having a severely negative impact on the brain.
I experienced this in Hoffman last week, or 3 weeks ago, that we had to be off obviously we had to be off our phones, and then we're told we couldn't meditate, exercise, or they say masturbate, anything that is a form of release. Releasing any dopamine, because they wanted us
Maddie
to be
really struggled with not masturbating.
That was so hard. Big fan. Wowby, you had to go there. But when they said this in the rules leading up to it, I was like, what? Like, no exercise, no meditation, like no yoga, no phone, like sure, no phone. But the whole point is that they want you to be so in it and so focused, so that the work that you're actually doing, it's like you're feeling the full range of emotions from that work. And the funny thing is, without all of those things that I usually lean on for my dopamine hit, exercise, absolutely, your phone, I felt the highest levels of dopamine release that I've felt in so long, being in that space without those things, because we were going there emotionally, the way we were connecting, all of the group activities, the meditations that they took us through, visualizations, and I was elated. I remember, I'll never forget this moment of like coming back, having had a moment on my own, sitting out in nature under this tree near this lake, and I walked back, and this is during Hoffman, being like, oh my God, I feel the most intense feeling of joy. I haven't felt this in so long. And I was like, if I can get to this level of joy without anything else, like just knowing that I can go there internally, what a gift.
Yeah, how powerful. That's incredible. And I think that it probably sounds a little scary to people. I actually did it this weekend. So Friday through Monday-ish. Friday through half the day on Monday. To me, it was like pretty easy to, I think what you just shared, like there are plenty of things we're getting these dopamine hits from throughout the day. But I think for me, the most glaring was social media. And not just the dopamine hit, but just like the distraction that I allow it to be. And then your brain, and I've been feeling exhausted lately. Part of it is my own medical and health stuff. But when you're on social media, even scrolling for 5 minutes, there's hundreds of different directions your brain's pulled in. All this information, most of it useless, coming in. 1 minute you're thinking about astrology, the next minute you're watching some crazy animal video. Like it's a million different directions. Like our brains are not meant for that. And it really takes a lot of energy. And so that was my goal. I really stayed off my phone. I only like texted if it was something to coordinate, like if it was someone I had to see, or we were running to the grocery store and needed something, and stayed off of social media, and it was really great. It helped me be more present. It slowed things down. It did help me like kind of feel like I was recharging my battery, and I'm trying to bring that into my day to day, because the minute I decide to go back on social media, then and the minute I like really had my phone in my hand again, the thumb like literally automatically goes to Instagram.
It's a reaction. It's crazy.
It's so, yes. It's so wild. And so I'm working through that. I mean, it's better, I'm doing a lot better because have more awareness on it, and I can stop immediately. But it's wild. And the like, Jewel and I talk about it, the bringing the phone with you from room to room, and like having the phone on you at all times. It's like, we don't need that. Why do we do that?
I know. You just have to train yourself to not have it, like to put it on do not disturb, and just like put it in a drawer and hide it. It's like out of sight, out of mind. I think that this digital detox for me, 10 days off it, was a real reset, and I'm so much better now since. So yeah, definitely recommend that for people when you're getting into that place.
Yeah. And also I like feel like similar to what you said, I feel like I missed nothing. Like life is totally fine without being on social media.
I'm doing now like no social media on weekends.
Yeah, I love that.
Just because I got to do it for work during the week.
Yeah, that's a great place. She even recommends like, hey, starting with 3 hours in the morning, 3 hours before bed of being off of it. And like, if that sounds intimidating, start with 1 hour and then kind of creep your way. You know, you can like, because you'll notice a difference. Especially she talks about first thing in the morning, like the first few minutes of the morning, and then the few minutes before you go to bed. I forget what state the brain is in. Maybe it's theta, but that is the best time for manifesting. Like kind of a lot of what Joe Dispenza talks about, or any manifesting thing. It's like you basically can implant thoughts into your brain at that time, and your brain just believes that they are our reality. And so that's kind of like the path to manifesting. So why would you, when you understand that, that really helps you not grab your phone first thing in the morning. You're like, oh, I could grab my phone while I'm laying in bed and scroll Instagram, or I could implant ideas and manifest shit.
Oh, that's a hard rule for me. I absolutely do not pick up my phone first thing when I wake up. It's not even in my bedroom. I have to get up and get out there. And I don't think about it for so long. I like, get up, do my hydration, do the things I need to do. And that, when your brain is first waking up, it's like it feels so tender. It's like you don't want to look at a screen. It's like, and that feels just abusive to yourself.
Yeah. And talking about habits, that's another thing she really talks about, is like, you need to take control of your habits before they take control of you, because your habits actually define your life, the life that you're living, which is like pretty powerful and like makes you want to make a shift pretty quickly.
I know. And once something becomes a habit, it's so much easier. It's just second nature. And then you can build and build and build on those habits, and you're increasing your baseline health step by step by step.
Yes.
And what can seem like such a big burden right now, to be like, how I cannot see myself as being this like healthy individual with all of these healthy habits. It's like you only have to implement one healthy habit and then get another one. And before you know it, you'll look back and you'll be like, oh my God, I don't even remember my life without this habit.
Yeah, it just is. It's just who you are and a part of you. Yes, agreed. I mean, I think the morning ritual and the morning habits are a really good place to start, because that does set you up for your foundation for the rest of the day.
That's exactly it. And it's like how you set the tone for the day, then what you're capable of. That's what I love to do. I think that's something when I'm journal writing before bed, I'm like, what would make tomorrow a success? So I'm like, that's like planted in my mind of what I need to do tomorrow. And it's not a huge to-do list. It's genuinely like 1 to 3 things that would make me at the end of the day be like, I did that. I got that done.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I'm going to do that.
Yeah, it's a good one. This is a lot of the work that I do that I'm actually doing in my program that I am about to launch. Brooke, I want to tell you about this.
Ooh, yes. Tell us, please.
I know. I've like put little inklings out toward it, but I've decided that I want to start a group program. And this was actually very inspired since I've come back from Hoffman, because of the way that the work in a group, the way that we were able to connect and share with one another in that supportive environment, it was just so powerful. And I've been thinking, actually, this is funny. I've been writing in my journal for years that I've wanted to do a group program. And now,
I love that.
Finally, the ping has, it's like, this is it. Now I'm ready to do it.
Yep.
And, I've been doing my one-on-one coaching for a couple of years now, and I love it so much, but I'm really ready to create like a container of, I'm starting with women, but we'll also do a men's one, depending on the interest, but probably just like 6 to 8 women. And it is a 12-week program called Empowered You.
Woo.
And yeah, it's all about,
I love that.
All about finding that empowered version of yourself. Like, what are the things that you really want to achieve, and how can we work towards getting there? And like we were saying, building the foundation with these habits, like really setting up your lifestyle to work for you. And so it doesn't have to be some big burden, and all of these things that might seem so unachievable right now, like starting the business, finding the partner, moving city, like all of these things. Once you're focused on your health and you've got all of the foundation set, you can work from such a more powerful place.
Yeah. And
those things actually will just start to reveal themselves in such an easier way once you've like really visualized it, you've seen it, you're clear on it, and you've moved away the blocks.
Yeah, we've talked about this before, but I love the name of it, Empowered You, because how could you be manifesting, creating, searching for the partner, searching for the job from a place unless you are empowered? Like if you're not starting with that empowered baseline, then you're going to attract the wrong partners. You're not going to even know what your purpose or job really should be, and it's going to be a much longer path, much bigger of a struggle, versus the foundation is you knowing who you are, knowing what the best versions of you all around are and look like, and embodying and being that, and then all the rest just becomes easy.
Exactly. Like if you're stuck in a place of negative self-talk or this self-doubt, beating yourself up and just not feeling like you're capable of doing anything, that's just like a negative cycle that you need to get out of. So it's like about working through that first, like working through all of these patterns that are holding you back to step into this powerful version of yourself.
Oh, I love it. That is really exciting. How and when can people like learn more about it or sign up, or what are the deets?
Oh, thanks for asking. Follow me on social media. That's where I'll be starting to leak some more information on it. I'm probably going to launch it in a month. And also you can sign up for my emails, which is just like on my Instagram page. You can sign up. You guys know me. Madeline_Lucy. You know this girl.
Madeline Lucy. Yes. The one and only. Cool. That's really exciting. I can't wait to watch that and see people come out of that, because I know the work that you've done and the habits and practices that you have, and how powerful they've been. I've witnessed your evolution over 8 years, and I know you have such incredible information to share, and you are the best. You're like the best type of accountability partner too, because you're just so positive and kind and like encouraging, and just like it's like having a best buddy who like can kind of give you the outline of how to step into your best self. That'll be really cool.
Thanks, B. Such sweet words. Such sweet words. That's what my Hoffman crew said. They're like, Maddie, if you posted every day or you sent us a note of being like, you got this, come on, like words of affirmation for Maddie, they're like, I could do it. I was like, all right.
Exactly. I mean, the accountability buddy it's a real thing. Like even I'm like heading into my next chapter, my parallel chapter, whatever you want to call it. And I'm like, I need some accountability buddies, not because I'm not capable or don't know how to execute, but it makes the journey way more fun. And like, it is like, it's almost something that helps you battle that negative self-talk or the fear, because you're like, well, I don't want to disappoint my accountability buddy, so I'm going to push through this.
So true.
Super powerful. Cool. So everyone follow Maddie and get more information on that. And I loved recording this episode. I was really excited for it because brain health is top of mind for me. I mean, I think it is for all of us, but it's something that's like a little bit less of a hot topic and less like accessible information out there. So I had a lot of fun interviewing Jewel. She's incredible. She has a really incredible brand that we talk about called Juna. They have amazing products for brain, gut health, sleep, kind of solve all of the issues she was seeing out in the world, as we female founders do. And I just love that so much. So excited for you guys to listen to it, excited for you to have some key takeaways and start implementing them into your lives. Even cooler, she gave us a little promo that I'll put in the show notes for her products, which is just expanders. On Juna's website. Juna is the name of the brand. So use that at checkout on their website for 20% off. I'm about to load up. Like, wait till you hear about these products and the details and like the intricacies and how thoughtful they are on sourcing. And she has gummies. These are for sure the only gummies I would buy. They're nighttime gummies, but I'm really excited to get those and feed them to my husband who has sleep issues. And just a really beautiful, thoughtful brand, and her expertise and experience helps back all of it.
Her products look amazing. I'm excited to try.
Yeah, you'll love that. I'm on the chlorophyll, and it's been a game changer. So enjoy this episode. Check out Jewel. You can check out her brand, Juna. It's at juna.world on Instagram. You can follow her directly for all kinds of good content. Jewel_Zimmer, Zimmer. All of this will be in the show notes, but this is a really great one to take some notes on, share with a friend or family member. We all want everyone we love to have good brain health. So I think this is a good one to start a conversation in your circles.
Yeah, this is a really interesting one. Loved this by you guys. Thanks for sharing this one, B.
Yeah, thanks, Mads. Thank you all. And thanks, Jewel, for giving us all kinds of great info. We'll see you guys soon. Jewel, I have to say thank you for bringing chlorophyll back into my life. I am dead serious. I'm a beverage girl. Okay, I'm drinking a lot of beverages in a day. It brings me joy. And they all have a different function. And for the past year, I've been like, I got to get back on chlorophyll. I got to get back on chlorophyll. But the ones that you buy at like a Whole Foods or something, they come in those round bottles. I don't know if you've experienced this. They leak every time you pour them, and it's so annoying. Like,
Really?
maybe yeah, it's a user error, but every time you pour them, there's a leak. Chlorophyll's bright green. It's not fun to clean up, and they don't taste good. Like, you have to add, it's a whole ordeal to add stuff to them to make them taste good. The Juna chlorophyll is freaking delicious. It's in the cutest little bottle with this easy dropper. It like actually brings me joy to just drop it into my water and see, like, just that alone makes me feel like I've done. It makes me feel healthier just watching that. And
Rachel will do that.
yes, and I'm drinking it every day and I love it. So thank you for creating that product and like bringing it back into my life.
Oh, you're so welcome. I love to hear that. Well, we use a chlorophyll that's derived from white mulberry leaves. So it's got this like jasmine-y floral flavor. And then we boost it with lemon and mint. So it's super, super refreshing. And yeah, I mean, it boosts oxygen to your blood and your brain. It helps with digestion. And then its main function is to activate the liver and detoxify you. So any toxins, your liver recycles all the toxins. So it takes that on and helps push them out of your body. And it feels good and it tastes good.
Yeah, it feels really good. The detox thing is a very serious thing for me. I have Lyme disease, so I'm like always looking for the like gentle detox kind of at all times. And I forgot, I gave my 2-year-old the other day, was like, green water, what, Mom? 'Cause she drinks some of the electrolyte waters that we have in the house, and she's always like, I want pink water today, or I want purple water today. And she saw me drinking the green water, and she had some, and she was like, this is good. I was like, all right, green water from now on.
I love that. I know so many kids love it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I want to get into Juna and all your products, but you are a pretty incredible person with some really cool talents. And one of them that I want to dive into is the topic I want to really talk about and focus on for this episode for the people is the brain.
Yeah.
You are a brain health trainer. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Can you tell me what that is?
Yeah. So, every year for Juna, I take it upon myself to immerse myself in something to gain expertise for the company, for formulations, for our consumers, right? So that I can help better their health. And so last year I studied brain health coaching, brain health training with the Amen Clinics. So Dr. Amen is a world-renowned psychiatrist, and he looks at brain health very, very differently. And so basically, at its core, a brain health trainer or coach is somebody that helps you become more aware of your thoughts and actions. It helps raise your consciousness, your awareness, your vibration, and really, helps you play, your championship game of life every day.
I love that you just kind of spurted out a mix of like, this is science and things that people would consider spiritual kind of all rolled into one. Tell me more about the foundation. Like, what does a session with you, if someone came to you and said like, hey, I need a coaching session, what does that look like? Or what's the process? What's the goal that most people are coming for?
Yeah, I think people are coming for very different reasons, but I always try to like instill it's about being proactive versus reactive.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, there's probably something that's not working in your life. Maybe you're having a hard time focusing, or you're feeling anxious, or you just you want your life to be more optimized. And those are all great things, but it's also, to come and get help with, but it's also really great to just think about how you can start to optimize your brain, because your brain is connected to every single center in your body. There's,
Mm-hmm.
it's connected to the gut, which is connected to healthy metabolism, which is connected to healthy weight. 90% of our serotonin is actually created in our gut, 50% of our dopamine, 70% of our
Wild.
immunity. And all of those neurotransmitters are starting in the gut and then they're going up to the brain. The brain is then digesting them up there and then sending that signal back down to the gut to diversify the gut microbiota and then produce more neurotransmitters. So optimization is absolutely key. So what a session really looks like is what are you doing in your life? Like, how are you going about your life? One of my favorite tools is something that I did learn through the Amen clinics, and that's these 4 circles, and that's really examining your psychological circles. So, what's going on in your brain? Like,
Mm-hmm.
how do you actually feel about yourself? Do you like yourself?
Mm.
Like, do you admire yourself? Would you want to hang out with yourself? Introduce yourself to somebody? These are really important things. You want to really love yourself, enough to be able to share yourself with others. So getting inside of people's heads, and really understanding how they feel about themselves is so important. The biological piece, so understanding what's going on in your physical body. So are you already dealing with depression, diabetes, endometriosis,
Mm-hmm.
Lyme disease, some other
Mm-hmm.
autoimmune disorder, right? What's actually going on there and how is that influencing the brain? Um, your social circles, your community,
Yes. Yes.
where are you at with your family? How does your family make you feel? How do you make your family feel? Work, same thing. What about outside of work and family? What's lighting you up? Like, what communities? And then the last one, which I think is generally the most underrated, but I think it's one of the most important, is the spiritual.
Mm.
And that is, where is your faith? Faith is so important, because faith is to believe what we can't see,
Mm.
right? And the reward of that is to see what we believe. And so that extends
Yes.
into so many dimensions, so many layers, right? That's so important that we have that. And then I like to add a fifth one too, and that's food, that's diet.
That
What are
almost
people
feels
eating?
like the pillar of everything for me. Like, you cannot be on a spiritual awakening, expanded consciousness journey and be eating ultra processed junk food and be like living off of junk food,
Yeah.
Like, and I'm sure you could speak to that in a more tangible way. Like, if the gut is off, the brain is off. Like, you're not processing, thinking, coming from a foundational place that is healthy and good. So I say that a lot on this podcast is like, okay, yes, we talk about a lot of spiritual stuff. We talk about expanded consciousness. We talk about in things that cannot be seen and the magic of the universe. But like, if you don't have the foundation of treating your body and your gut and fueling yourself properly, like, let's go back to that and do that first.
Yeah, we only get one body, right? And we're so busy, we live in this crazy world of sensory and schedule overload.
Mm.
And so many of us have like some degree of anxiety or ADD or depression, because like all this information is coming to us at light speed. Actually, anything, we can get anything pretty instantly, including food.
Yeah.
And we forget where it comes from.
Our brain, like I think about this, I've thought about this a lot recently because I'm just doing some tests on myself. And when I start to feel unclear or anxious or like I don't have the answers for something, every single time I realize, oh, my inputs have been higher than usual lately. I've been listening to more podcasts, or I've been like cramming more books in, or I haven't really had any time, any silent time. And I think we forget to, like, a lot of us now are talking about the gut brain connection and food, but we forget to protect our brain, which is like a really precious resource. And we almost like, we definitely don't treat it that way. Like just scrolling social media for 5 minutes, there's 300 different things, the directions that your brain's being pulled in. That can't be good for us. It doesn't feel good. It feels exhausting.
I mean, it creates dopamine addiction, right? And what it actually does is it starts depleting our dopamine versus increasing it, which is so dangerous for the brain. And I'm so glad that you brought this up, because I do that to myself. I find myself trying to take in all this information with podcasts and books because I love to learn. And then it's, you have to rest the brain in order to be able to harvest the information.
I like that.
Like that's why cramming, like if you're a student, cramming is so hard because you can't really retain it. And yeah. That was just like a really profound statement for me as well. You need that rest in order to recover and harvest all that you know and all that you've learned.
Yeah. Is that common advice that you're giving to someone coming in, is like that often a first place to start, like less input, or more simply put, less social media?
Yeah, I mean, I always recommend a dopamine detox. For some people, it can be really, really hard.
I love that. Hold on. I love that language. Dopamine detox. Oh my God. We all need to do that. Are you kidding me?
It's pretty crazy. I actually did my first full one. I'll often recommend that people start with like 3 hours in the morning and 3 hours before they go to bed, because that really helps, like soften it a little bit.
Yeah, fair.
Really hard, especially if you have a business and you want to be on or need to be on social media for your work. But yeah, a couple of months ago, I wrote an article. I contributed to an article on dopamine detox, and it went live on a Saturday morning, and I reposted it on Instagram, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this.
Yes.
I'm going to do it for 7 days. And it was so interesting to experience like my learnings. I had the worst habits. I realized like strange little things, like every time I got in the car, before I even turned on the car, I opened Instagram, no matter who was in the car.
Yeah.
I was like, what is this all about?
Yeah.
Every time I moved from like one room to the other, before I could actually like get to the destination, I would open Instagram. Like it was so disturbing to me. And I just kept thinking about my kids and like all of our kids, and this like anxiety, this generation of anxiety because of all of this stimulation that is around.
It worries me because we feel it and we have an awareness to it, but we didn't grow up with that. We didn't grow up with cell phones and Facebook and Instagram, and yet it so quickly becomes a part of our life. And for the generation of our kids who won't, there's no time before, like they are growing up with it. My daughter has an iPad, and she, she wakes up in the morning. Some mornings wants to play, and some mornings first thing she's requesting is the iPad, and we're like, no, not first thing in the morning. She's 2, she's gonna be 3 soon, but she takes like the remote to our expensive Dyson fan and calls it her phone, and she was trying to take it outside with her the other day. I was like, no, we don't take our phone outside. And she's like, you take your phone outside. And I was like, okay, well. Yeah, and just thinking about just how they pick up so much on what we we do as well, what we're modeling. And like, yeah, we have our phones, just like you said, you're every room I go, I'm like, why am I taking my phone with me everywhere I go, as if it's like a part of my body and I need it? I don't need
It
it. I
was
can go into the bathroom without my phone.
oh,
Like,
no, it was completely disturbing. And by Wednesday, so that was on a Saturday, by Wednesday, my team was kind of like, okay, maybe it's time to hop back. Maybe it's time to hop back on social media. Like we could really use you in there. And
Yeah.
I was like, no, I'm really gonna do this the whole week. And by Friday, my co-founder Taylor was like, I think like you're just so calm. Not that I'm not calm, but I think that there was just an energy because there was nothing that I was anxious to see. Or,
yes,
I mean, there
yes,
was just a different, there was
you're
just a
present.
vibrational difference. Yeah, it was present.
Yeah.
And so
So what is a dopamine detox? Is it literally just getting rid of social media, or are there other things that you recommend? Like, can someone still use their phone and just delete the apps? Like, what's the protocol?
I think it's different for everyone for sure. But yeah, I mean, finding out like where your addiction really is, for me, it was definitely Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
and this is also interesting. What my brain did was by the second day, I was like, okay, I'm off Instagram. I'll just go on TikTok. So sweet, right? And I actually don't even like go on TikTok. And like I saw something really quickly that day. I saw something really disturbing on TikTok, and I was like, okay, this is a
It's a
sign. Like
sign.
it's
Yeah.
time to get off. And I've never like I haven't been back on TikTok again. I'm like terrified now because of that algorithm. But it is different for everyone. And it's, dopamine detox, like you could be addicted to it. Like it could be a food, it could be a substance, it could be alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
It could be binge watching Netflix every when you get home from work. Like, so it's finding out really like where the consistency is, in the habit that's creating the dopamine depletion. And then it is taking it away because you want to be aware. You want to be aware of it. You want to be aware how you feel when it's gone, but it's also great to like replenish it with healthy dopamine, like exercise and getting outside. So
And now that you say that, like, I bet people would be shocked how much more time they have when they're not, even if they're not sitting down and spending a ton of time on Instagram. Like, I bet you'd be shocked at like how the minutes add up when you're not on it and what you have more time to do.
yeah, 1000%. Yeah, I mean, you have to take control of your habits or your habits take control of you, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Every single habit starts to define the rest of your life.
Yeah.
If you're on social media for an hour a day, some people are on for 2 or 3 hours a day, or, binging Netflix or whatever series,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it
Yeah.
is. I mean, this is time lost when you could be doing something that like really fills you up and really makes you happy and really changes your brain.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about you mentioned faith, like faith, the spiritual side, what that nourishes the brain. What are the conversations you're having with people around that?
yeah, I think people feel really, I think in like collectively, there's a little bit of a loss. Like if they haven't grown up with like maybe something religious or like a community, they don't really know what that is. And it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have to be anything specific, and it doesn't have to be religious. It can be as simple as forming a meditation practice,
Yeah.
and just really getting quiet. Gratitude. I mean, I have every single person start a gratitude
Yeah.
practice. I
Yeah.
don't know if there's, besides exercise, I don't know if there's anything more profound for the brain than
Truly.
gratitude.
And it also takes seconds out of your day.
Mhm.
Like, especially once you're in
Yeah.
it, once you are just like working gratitude into your day and into your routine, it's so fast and so easy to. And you can feel like, talk about a dopamine hit. It forces you to think about the things that you're grateful for. And then you're like, damn, life is actually really good.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of every workday, I go home and I meditate for between 15 and 20 minutes and then
Mm,
take a minute for gratitude because it's a nice time for me to be able to like bridge work life to home life and
yeah.
get rid
Yeah.
of all that. But so much goes on in a day. Like, and as a founder, and you know this firsthand, there's a lot, like, a lot of fires you're putting out,
Yes.
and it can be really, really hard to remember all the great things that happen because we're surrounded by great things all the time. Our senses are surrounded by them. We hear them, we smell them, we feel them. So when something not great happens, it's this huge moment, that we kind of hold on to and forget
Mm-hmm.
about the rest. And so that's been a really, for me and my own brain health and my own mindset, that's been really game changing. And I've been doing that for a few years.
Yeah, I love that. And I'm curious. I'm curious what you think about this. I noticed I do something similar. I call it a psychic pause, and it's not as beautiful as what you do. It's really just that on the way to school, pick up my daughter from daycare, which is like a 10-minute or less drive. I just drive. I don't pick up my phone and text at the stoplight. I don't put music on. I'll put the windows down, have silence, and just drive. And for me, it's like shifting. It's just kind of like it allows me to process stuff if I want, or it allows me to not think about anything. And it's this shift from CEO, founder, work, hectic mode to now I'm going to go into mom mode. And that's kind of all that matters for the next 3 hours, or the only little bit of time a day I get with my daughter. And what motivated me to do that is I noticed a huge change in her behavior on days where I committed to being present with her versus days where I was still dragging along baggage from my day and was like still thinking about it, or like sending an email in between, or checking something on my phone, or just like trying to problem solve, like multitask well, playing
Yeah.
and being with her. I noticed her, even though I like maybe she didn't see it, or it was like literally she could tell that I was distracted, even if I was still directly playing with her, and she would act up and act out. Versus when I'm present, she is an angel, and
Yeah.
it's so wild.
Yeah. I mean, it's energy.
Yeah.
I sense it. My girls are the same way. My oldest actually, she presented head up. And like every time we turned her, like Frank breech, so she was head up, butt down. And every time we turned her, she'd go back. And at the time, I was working in a kitchen and I was working like 12 to 14 hours a day. I was a pastry chef at the Mandarin Oriental Hotel. And my acupuncturist kept saying, like, there's nothing wrong. Like, she keeps turning because she's asking you to pay attention.
Mm,
Like, it's
mm.
time. And it's interesting because I still get that reminder from her all the time. Like, and I can be looking at her and she's still, it's like instilled
She
in her. She's
knows.
still
Yeah.
always like, Mom, you're distracted. You're not like, you're looking at me. I know we're talking, but you're somewhere. And I'm like, and it hits me all the time. And I'm like, wow, like they just know. Our kids are, yeah, I mean, they're our best teachers, right?
Yeah, and our presence is such a gift to ourselves and to everyone else around us. And it's like, it's something we give away so, our attention, we just give it away so freely. It's like, yeah, it's really sad. But I'm sure that, I think we see what's scary is what our generation is starting to see in our parents is we're seeing this rise in brain health issues like Alzheimer and Parkinson's, and that feels really scary. And I think a lot of times in publications or in the media, it's kind of related to food, and I think that's understandable. But it feels like there's probably a pretty good chance that even if our generation fixed the food stuff, there's then all of these other complications coming in that are impacting our brain health.
Yeah, 1000%. I mean, this statistic is going to blow your mind.
Oh
If your
God.
brain is stressed, you have a 40% higher chance of developing Alzheimer's. And you just,
What?
yes.
Oh my God, like stress for how long?
Yeah, like exactly. Just think about like how we collectively like move through this world. Like I don't know many people who don't carry stress. You know, like that's really crazy. And that is like a testament to like just how we're moving through this world and all of this information coming to us so fast that we don't have time to process. So there's stress even just trying to process it, right? I mean,
Yes.
stress can be defined in so many different ways. And stress and depression actually really hurt the brain, like,
Mm-hmm.
and anxiety. And so many people will say, oh, I'm anxious. I've always have been, or I've never been able to sleep. Like, that's just me.
Mm.
And when you really look at the studies and when you really look at brain scans, these things are damaging the brain. And if that's you, if you are dealing with anxiety or you're not sleeping and you're not able, because when you sleep, you actually are supposed to go into many stages of sleep. And one of them is stage 3 deep sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when your body regenerates itself and your brain moves into lymphatic mode. So it's kind of like the lymphatic system, but it's in the brain, and your
Oh,
cerebral fluid actually turns on and washes your brain clean.
wild.
I know.
Wild.
And a lot of us aren't going into stage 3 deep sleep at all or long enough for that process to happen. And that's actually because our melatonin is not producing at optimal
Mm.
levels because of all the blue
The
light
screens. Yeah.
and all the stress.
Yeah.
And so like we're depleting, we're depleting.
What is the ideal amount of time to be in that deep sleep state? Because I have the aura ring, so
Oh,
I'm
you do?
tracking. Yes,
You
yes, yes.
I think like ideally 90 minutes to two
Okay,
hours a night. And it
okay,
generally happens in the first part of sleep. Like you fall asleep, you drop into REM, and then you would drop into deep sleep.
okay. Great. I'm getting over an hour usually, so now
That's
I'm
good.
just yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've gotten really serious about sleep stuff. Well, with kids, like you get into this cycle and you're like, I need to be able to function, and therefore I need to really pay attention to my sleep because
Yeah.
that is such a key. And two, to get out of that, like the mom brain fog. Like
Yeah.
that
That's
was
real.
really shocking to me. I mean, pregnancy brain, and you hear people talk about pregnancy brain, but then you're like, mom brain is very real too. And I feel like, we're almost 3 years in, and I feel like I'm just getting my brain back.
Yeah. I mean, I think they say postpartum, they used to say postpartum lasted for as long as you were pregnant. And then I heard a year, and then I heard 3 years. And now I'm even hearing like upwards of 5 years, to fully
Yes. Yeah.
get back to, or I guess it's not even to get back, but it's really to regenerate every cell in your, to turn over every cell in your body and just be new.
Be a new, yeah, version.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's wild. And what is contributing to that? I mean, obviously there's lack of sleep, but is it mostly hormonal imbalances or hormonal shifts?
I think that there's a lot contributing. I mean, I think gut health, it really changes when you're pregnant. June is actually launching in October a microbiome IQ test. So it's a gut health test and it measures
Wow.
your microbiome. So we've had like several of our friends and family and even some of our VIP customers try these tests for us. And what we're noticing is that the microbiome is extremely, extremely different. And it makes sense when you're pregnant and when you're postpartum.
Mm-hmm.
Things are higher and some things are lower. And that microbiome diversity, changes everything. I mean, it's connected. There's, just to put this into perspective, there's over 1 trillion microbiota in our guts, and there's only 8 billion people on this planet.
Yeah, that's
I mean, that's insane, right? There's also
so
like 80
wild.
billion neurons in our brain. That's, more than there are stars in the universe. So
Yeah.
it's really crazy to think about that. And they all have a very, very specific function. And in fact, just to go back, when I was postpartum with my first daughter, and this is actually what was it, I mean, I had already been, on a spiritual journey and had studied shiatsu and Chinese medicine a little bit while I was, growing my career like in culinary as a pastry
Mm-hmm.
chef. But after I had my oldest daughter, I suffered from like extreme postpartum depression. And not to go into it too much, but it was like I don't even remember the date, 6 or 8 months, somewhere around there after I had her. And of course, it had been coming for a long time, but I didn't see it. I woke
Mm-hmm.
up one morning and my brain was just black.
Oh my
Like
gosh.
everything I saw, everything I thought, it was so, so dark. And just me being, who I am, I wanted to find out what the root cause was because I
Yeah.
was pretty sure I was fine the day before and it wouldn't
Yeah.
go away. And what I ended up doing, I was living in San Francisco, I ended up seeing an orthomolecular psychiatrist and he ran every single test.
Wait, how did you find that person?
I just like, well, I know first I went to my OB and she wrote
Mm-hmm.
me a prescription for Zoloft. She didn't ask me a single question. She walked out of the door, out of the room. I ripped it up and was like, I need to understand what's happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like this is like a very,
It's
very,
a,
it felt very, very serious.
mm,
And and so then I went and saw an acupuncturist who was absolutely amazing. She was like a globally renowned fertility doctor, so she understood women's hormones and women's health. And so I saw her and she really took the edge off for me,
yeah.
because there was so much anxiety around
Mm-hmm.
what was going on in my brain. She took the edge off, but I was still determined to figure out what it was. So just like natural psychiatrist or I don't know what I googled
Yeah. Yeah.
at the time, but like found this man in San Francisco and he was like, listen, like I assure you, like you can change your brain, we can change your brain, we can get it back, like this isn't forever.
Right.
And so he ran all these tests on me and I was 100% expecting hormones to come back like something off. I mean, that made the most sense. I had just had a baby.
Mm-hmm.
And what actually came back like astonished me. And that was I had almost no amino acids in my body. Now, fast forward all these years to launching Juna and doing all this work and studying plants and the body, our amino acids are either acting as neurotransmitters or they're building blocks for neurotransmitters, and they start in the gut.
And I mean, we get amino acids just from the foods we eat, right?
Yeah, but our bodies also produce a lot
Okay.
that we don't get. And so I was fully depleted. And actually, even for him, he was like, well, normally I would see like no B3 or, like there
Right.
would be
Right.
something
There's
like
some
more
basic things.
familiar for him. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, well, let's put you on a mega dose of these and let's see what happens. And when I say a mega dose, I mean like 9 capsules, several, something that honestly I purchased on Amazon, I think, it was not anything that like complex or
Right.
like bespoke to me. And I started to feel a difference really quickly. And about 9 months into it, I remember it was like 4 o'clock and I hadn't had a dark thought. I remember looking at my phone and being like, oh my God,
That's
like
a,
wondering if I would jinx it. And
yeah.
my daughters are actually almost 8 years apart, and that's why. Because I was absolutely terrified to have another baby. But at that point, I also knew that if this ever happened again, I would have the support and I would know
Yeah.
what to do and where to go. But it never happened again. And I think like that's also just it's just amazing how the body regenerates itself. But that for me was the moment where I realized that your gut is, I mean, it's your body is this interconnected ecosystem.
Yeah.
Your gut is really centric to so much of it, and your gut is also known as your second brain.
Yeah.
And because of this synergistic relationship that the gut and brain have, you either have to take care of them both, which is ideal, or you have to choose one. And so if you're suffering like in your brain in some way, like depression, anxiety, focus, attention, anything like that, address it. If you're suffering in your gut in any way, like even bloating, even something as simple as bloating, that's a sign that there's something underlying going on. Address it, because if you don't, and you have major changes in your life, like a pregnancy or
Mm-hmm.
get sick, if you develop something, your body's not going to have the resilience to
Yeah.
go through it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a really good point. And I think that part of the problem, and I think this will be different for the generation after us, but I think part of the problem is we don't really pay attention to something until it's causing real problems, until the alarms are going off.
Yeah, I mean, we're so reactive and we're taught to be reactive instead of proactive. And yeah, I agree. Like your daughter, she'll always be proactive. My
Right.
girls will always be
Yes.
proactive. Like they will never let something get out of control. They'll like always think about how they can honestly prevent it and just fully optimize.
Yeah. So at this time, so you learned the power of the brain a long time ago, and the power, like really our power over our brains.
Yeah.
And then, but Juna's been around for a couple of years, right? Your
Yeah.
business. So like what led from that to Juna to then you being a brain coach?
Mm, yeah. So we launched Juna in Q4 of 2019. So we're just about to hit our 5-year anniversary.
Great timing. You're like,
I
okay,
know.
we just launched a business. Oh, and also there's 3 months later, there's a global pandemic.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Which, as
Talk
we know,
about stress on the brain.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. We were just out the gate when all of that happened. So we actually always say, Taylor and I always say, really, we feel like it's our 2-year
Yeah,
anniversary
yeah,
because so much has changed.
yeah.
Between then and now. And obviously, there's always an evolution, as there is with anything. But in business, you have to be so adaptable. And
Well, what a test for you and your partner too, to like your first quarter or second quarter in business to be hit with a global pandemic. Like that's kind of, quickly shows some colors and quickly lets you know if you guys are the right partners to move this thing forward. So hats
yeah,
off to you.
yeah. We had a lot of fun, actually.
Yeah.
She has an amazing sense of humor, and she was able to like finesse everything into like, a very
The
different light.
positive side. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That helps. Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. But yeah, so we always say it's really our second anniversary, and that's what it feels like because of the evolution. And I think, being a wellness brand and launching at that time, I mean, I'm sure you would agree, like people have changed, the consumer has changed,
Oh
their
my gosh.
wants, their needs have changed, right? So the model we started with is completely different than where we are now, which is like very gut centric. All of our products are for detoxification, digestion, mood, sleep. So they're really focused on impacting that
Mm-hmm.
gut-brain
Mm-hmm.
connection, the gut immune, all of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Which of your products I mean, I guess they all kind of go together, right? But like, can you just list off your products really quickly and
Yeah.
like, what are your favorites and why? Like, what are the must-haves? Obviously, we've covered the chlorophyll is a must-have in my world anyway.
Yes, the detox drops with chlorophyll are amazing. The gut therapy is actually our newest launch, and that's all about the gut-brain connection. So that's my ride or die product, and that was really inspired by my postpartum journey. So it's
Mm,
full of amino acids and amazing adaptogens.
I need to get that. You've convinced me on
Yeah.
amino acids. I'm like, shit, how do I test my amino acids? This is terrifying.
It's crazy, of the things that you don't think about that could have such a profound effect on the rest of your body and like literally how you are able to like move through your day.
Yeah, there's so much like it's one path to go down and I go down it often where I'm like, am I taking the right supplements? Am I like blood work do I need to how often do I need to get blood work done? What should I be testing? And I work very closely with a naturopath because of my Lyme disease. Um, and then I have these moments too where I'm like daydreaming about a very different way of life of like what if I could live a life where I didn't have to take any supplements because I wasn't stressed and I wasn't overloading my system and overloading my brain and I was just present and in flow and in nature and like it's it's like what have we done to ourselves and is it even possible to get back to that or do we just keep going down this path of supplements red light sauna like Jewel, I'm sure you're the same, but if I listed off to the amount of shit I do in a day to feel good, and like I don't even feel good every day, you
Yeah.
know? And it's like that is a lot of maintenance.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I always kind of threaten like to go off the grid, but like it's like going off the grid though is like that's a big decision because it's like you go off, you can't come back. Like you can't. There's no coming back because I don't know, like at least for me and like how my brain functions, I'm like all in or all out. Like I have a hard time like dipping in both worlds. And so like I don't know. It might happen. I
Yeah.
had a friend actually. She has a beauty company, like very, very beautiful, like high vibrational essential oils. I have to actually connect you to her. Her name is
Okay.
Julie Elliott, and she's the founder of this amazing brand called Infiori that's been around for actually 30 years. But everything has a vibration and a frequency to it, and it's amazing. But she did that about 2 years ago. She moved her business from San Francisco to Sayulita, and she is like, for the most part, off the grid. And I'm not even kidding you when I say this. She has reversed aged.
Dude,
Her her
I
her
believe it.
her skin is like her face, her body is like 10 years younger. It's her energy. I mean, it's just like it's unbelievable.
The weight, the energetic weight of what we carry. And if it's like for what? And I know I think it's different for everyone. Like you and I have a similar like founder's journey. There's a lot of weight that comes with that. Like honestly, I think just being a human right now, definitely being a woman that has kids, that's we've been working, like being a mother and working. When you're doing that, you're like, what the fuck? Like is how is this
It's
actually possible?
possible.
Like I'm not doing either of them well. It's just takes such a toll on you. It's just like we've created this world, and there's a lot of things we could get into and why and how, but it's like is this way of life actually sustainable for humans? And then you see us like doing all the biohacking and the supplements and the, like I said, all we have an ice, but we have a cold tub and a sauna and like use them daily. Like, should I have to be getting in 43-degree water daily to like feel good and normal? Like
No, it's crazy. I do it too. It's wild. And that's where we are.
what if like what if asking for a friend, what if someone wanted to retrain, rewire? I don't know if these are the right words. You can tell me the right language, but like change their brain to kind of stop doing what it's doing, stop showing up and sitting in front of the computer every day, stop caring about like so much of the basic human functions, and just like have a very different perspective on it. Can you train your brain to do that? And like, am I making myself clear or no?
Yeah, no, 1,000% you can. You know, you can change your brain, and when you do, you absolutely change your life.
Yeah.
And it's consistency and it's awareness.
Mm.
It's like it's conscious awareness,
Yeah.
subconscious awareness too, you know, you just have to do it. And that's why a coach or trainer can like be so helpful because they can actually hold you accountable because it's so easy to fall
Yeah.
into old patterns and old routines. But yeah, absolutely. You know, at Juno we always say nature is the best chemist, right? Like every pharmaceutical has actually been started from a plant.
Mm-hmm.
And plants carry, I mean, they carry like a whole world inside of them. You know, they carry all of these amazing compounds and actives and plants, if they're next to one another, they share these things and like enrich in the plants next to them and help them grow and help them, you know, sustain different types of weather. And, you know, it's like truly amazing. So the more we can actually immerse ourselves in nature and slow
Mm.
down our
Mm-hmm.
our nervous system, and actually just walking on the beach barefoot or walking barefoot in nature actually shifts our gut microbiome, which
That's
then
wild.
shifts our brain. So, like really coming back to that, like grounding. I mean, these things sound, they sound like, oh, that can't be, that's not complicated enough. You think about brain health and you think like, what are all the supplements I need to take? What
Mm-hmm.
are all the exercises that I need to do? Whether it's like games or physical exercise.
Yes.
And honestly, and it is some of that for sure. But so much of it is just reconnecting with self and with nature. It's
Yeah.
literally the
Yeah.
best medicine.
I
And
think
that's why
that
every pharmaceutical is derived from it.
I love that. And like two things to say about that. One, like there's no denying. Everyone listening can relate to that feeling that you feel once your feet are in, like when the ocean's washing over your feet, or when you come home from a day of being on the beach. It's just like this, like the feeling. I don't even have to describe it. Everyone knows it. Summers, I love, like if my feet are not dirty by the end of the day in the summer, like I have not had a good day, like that. It
Yeah.
just is, it is this whole different feeling. And yeah, it is nature. But it's this idea that you just said of like coming back to yourself, or like being like coming back to yourself, understanding yourself, being with yourself and being in nature. Like actually that combination is kind of the solution to everything.
Yeah. It definitely can be for sure. Just slowing down.
Yeah. Being with yourself is like something we have really gotten away from, just as we were talking earlier with all the options for inputs. Like how many of us actually spend time just with ourselves?
Yeah, and like being able to like dive into our subconscious as well. Like one of my favorite times of the day, I have two favorite times a day. And it's like one right when I'm waking up and then two right when I'm falling asleep, because that's when your brain goes into like a very, very deep relaxation, and it's called a theta brain state.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're in deep meditation, you're in that, or yeah, when you're falling asleep or have just fallen asleep, when you're in that brain state, you can actually access your subconscious. And why that's so important is because one, you can literally change the cells in your body when you plant thoughts in your subconscious, right? Because your conscious and your subconscious are so different, right?
Yes.
And it's
Yes.
like, so when we talk about being with ourselves, like if we're with ourselves, like consciously, like that's just one piece of it. We also have to understand ourselves like subconsciously, because
Yes.
lots of times subconsciously, we we have very different beliefs than we do consciously.
Yeah, and can you just explain really quick the subconscious, and let me see if I'm getting the subconscious is kind of like the belief system that we maybe aren't quite aware of, like that we
Exactly.
gained from childhood experiences or hearing people say things or traumas. Is that correct?
Exactly. They could be passed down even, generationally. And so we can say, all we want, like I'm very successful, or I'm, the best athlete in the world, or whatever it is. But unless we can truly, the science would say, quantum physics would say, unless we can truly believe that on a deeper level, at a
Mm,
subconscious level, that's when we'll actually achieve those things.
yes. And
So
so how do we
that's
do that?
part of the part of manifestation, right? So it's yeah, so it's really important just to like spend time in those states, right? So if you don't meditate or you have a hard time meditating, find that time like right when you're falling asleep, or everyone can do it right when they're waking up.
Hmm.
Just remember, like take that minute, like stay in that trance as long as possible, and like give gratitude and say things that you know use affirmations that you want to happen as if they've already happened. Because
Yes.
also when you're in that theta state, you have a different type of coherence to the rest of your body. Your brain obviously is connecting, but it can also connect to your heart, which then opens up
Mm-hmm.
a different layer. as well,
Yeah. How
helping me.
long can that, when you wake up, how long can that theta state last for?
That's a good question. I'm sure it probably varies. I mean, for me, I don't know that it lasts longer than 2 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's pretty quick, you know?
Yeah. But you're saying you can get back to theta by meditating.
You can. Yeah, it's a very, very deep, relaxed state.
So is that silent meditation, listening to a guided meditation? Does it make a difference?
It doesn't matter. You know, everyone's brains respond differently. Like some people respond to just bodies respond to just silence and sitting. Other people respond to, frequency, listening to different hertz. Yeah, like you're saying music.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And
So
is that the magic behind meditation is like, or sorry, behind manifestation? Is that like catching that? It's like rewiring the subconscious beliefs, essentially.
I mean, the experts in quantum physics would say that's the lock and key. Yeah. Once you can do that, you can really start to transform your life
Yeah.
for
Are there
sure.
any other times we can access or any other ways we can access the subconscious?
So, our brain's made up of many different parts, and one of the parts of our brain is called our limbic brain. And deep, deep, deep in our limbic brain is something called the pineal gland. And the limbic brain
Yes.
is also like, yeah, it's known as the heart of the brain. It's like our emotional center. It's also where like our circadian rhythms, so our sleep wake cycles are. And the pineal gland it secretes a little bit of serotonin. Most of it comes from our gut, actually, but it does secrete a little bit of serotonin. It secretes melatonin, which is we know that to help with sleep, but it's a
Mm-hmm.
master neurotransmitter, it's a master hormone, it's a master antioxidant. It actually helps regulate all of our stress hormones like cortisol or sex hormones like estrogen and testosterone. It's absolutely phenomenal, but our bodies need to be producing it naturally, right?
Right.
And with all the blue light and information we're taking in, it can really deplete it. The pineal gland also releases DMT, which is a hallucinogen.
Yeah. I was like, wait a
Yeah,
minute.
it's actually released to help us dream. And it
Amazing.
also has crystals in it. And these crystals, when activated, can push our brain not just into theta, but all the way to gamma. And this is like more on like a quantum
What?
physics level. So I'm not the expert on
Oh
this,
my
but
God.
I'm learning. This is like the
Okay.
next frontier for me.
Okay.
Um, but so really understanding that part of your brain and really trying to activate that. So just focusing on it, you can, really get to a point. That's where that's the part of your brain where you would manifest from.
Okay. Kundalini yoga talks a lot about
Yeah,
the pineal gland. Am I saying it right?
yeah.
Yeah, and like has a lot of like motions that can, I guess, activate it.
That's
It's
exactly what it does. The breath actually puts so much pressure if you do it right on the pineal gland that it causes these crystals to do something. And yeah, I mean it's absolutely I love
Oh my
Kundalini.
God.
It's
So
absolutely
breath work essentially could activate it as well. Kundalini breath work. What has learning about the brain, like how has that changed your perspective on just like the universe, life, like the big things? Because this shit you're talking about is magic. It's
yeah, and
like,
I think like understand like your brain is just like the more I learn about the brain, the more I'm just like protect the brain, protect the brain, protect the
hmm
brain because it's your access to everything, like absolutely everything. It's connected to every single piece of your body. And, some scientists would even say it can connect to other dimensions too, right? And so I think that, really understanding the power that is inside of you and just taking care and nurturing it. We take our brains for granted until
hmm
with everything, right? We take it for granted until something goes wrong.
right.
And then we start to prioritize, and it's just really understanding that like you only get one of these.
And we don't really harness the power of it. Like we talk about intelligence in a very linear way, and like we value intelligence in a very linear way. But I'm interested in what you just talked. I mean, quantum physics, like tapping into other realms. I'm not sure exactly what word you used, but it definitely piqued my interest. Like there is so much more we could be accessing with our brains. Expanded conscious, like what does expanded consciousness mean to you?
Right?
Yeah.
Consciousness is so vast.
Yeah.
Awareness.
Yeah. I think awareness, but awareness, like I think about it a little bit like this. And I laugh because like from the little we've interacted, like I'm deep, I've taken a deep dive into spirituality and like had some really incredible experiences. And I share them with my husband, who's not impressed at all by me. I mean, I literally saw and spoke to a dead person the other day, and he's like, okay, cool. Well, there's a Pats game on tonight. And like, I'm like, dude, do you hear what I'm telling you? But it's good. It's good. It keeps me grounded, but it makes me think about, these things and expanded consciousness. And it's like, imagine so many of us are walking through life believing that what we can see with our eyeballs is it. Yeah. And actually when you like sit with that and think about that, how boring is that? And how likely is that true? It feels very unlikely that all that there is to the world, the way even we know how energy works, that all there is like what you can see in front of you. It's like, no, babe, there's so much. And I to me, expanded consciousness is one, having an awareness of that, and then starting to work on seeing what is unseen.
Yeah, exactly. Understanding what that is. Yeah. I mean, I feel like, since I was a child, I've always had like this awareness, like I can definitely like, if I ask, I can feel energy running through my body.
Mm-hmm.
You probably, I'm sure you can as well,
Yeah.
and it's like, but not really understanding then like how to direct that energy or what to do with that, or, if it's safe or what it is, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's people who can see the energy around, there's science has proven there is the auric field. There's energy like around us. It has frequency, it has vibration, which means it has the ability to have color. There are people who can see people's auras, can see and you just have to be trained. Like you can read a book. I'm reading a book now, like that teaches you how to do it. Like anyone can do it. I open the Akashic records and talk to masters, teachers, and loved ones of people. Anyone can do that as well. It's like a willingness to step into and expanded consciousness. Yeah.
I love it. It's amazing.
I'm excited to see where your brain, your quest for knowledge about the brain takes you, because I feel like it's only going to go in that direction. Like where else could it go?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a focus. The gut-brain connection specifically. I also spent some time studying at Stanford Extensions this year on the microbiome and just really, bridging those two even more. And yeah, I mean, it's just there's so much with the brain, from, being connected to the gut and all centers of the body to this outside world, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really, I'm excited too.
What does a day in the life optimizing your brain look like?
It's definitely prioritizing that time in the morning and at night, in the theta state for gratitude and tapping into subconscious. It's the meditating in between work and home. I do take a lot of different supplements, and it changes every day. I mean, I do take gut therapy, absolutely, our Juna gut therapy.
I need to get some.
That's definitely in my ride or die. We will get you some. I often will take digestive enzymes. I don't, or that's also a Juna product. I don't necessarily take them with food. I actually take them before bed. They can also be like a probiotic replacement,
Awesome.
and they're really good for, nourishing, supporting the gut. They have an amazing spore-based probiotic in them that helps with like all digestive discomfort. So bloating, gas, nausea, constipation. So they just like, for me,
Okay.
they just like help keep my gut like at an optimal place.
Happy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So happy. So I love taking that. Like today, I always start the morning with a glass of detox water. So the chlorophyll that you
Yes.
were talking about,
Yes.
followed by a matcha. I recently went off coffee. So
Congratulations.
matcha every day. I know that was a big one for me. And I don't drink a lot anymore. I'm actually a level one sommelier because of my,
What?
yeah, because of my
That's
background in culinary,
amazing.
all the years I spent in culinary. And my husband's a chef. And so, I mean, we do eat really well. My husband like
Yes.
literally cooks like a farm to table dinner for our family, like any night that
Oh
he's
my
not in
God.
a restaurant.
I'm so
So
jealous.
we're like we that's amazing. But it's not unusual for us to also have a glass of wine. And in the past couple of years, the more I study about the brain, it's
Hmm.
like it's just not quite
Hmm.
worth it anymore.
Yeah, I had that experience
Cumulative.
too with the brain, with Lyme disease, with, wanting to tap into more to my intuition. I've been off alcohol for almost 2 years and, um, came from a restaurant background as well. Like I can make a badass craft cocktail. Like I am the cocktail maker at all of the parties. And not that I was ever a big drinker, but did love some wine and craft cocktails. But it has been, I could literally feel it like drying out my brain when I would have alcohol. And like that is obviously what it does. And it was just got to a point where I was like, this is not worth it. And
Yeah.
it's like once you do a couple months, there's no turning back.
Yeah,
You really do note it. It's hard. I
for
will
sure.
admit, it's like hard to be fully because you're like, well, I only drink once in a while, and I really like nice wine with dinner, and it's hard to like quit fully. But once you're off for a few months, you're like, cool, no, I'm not good. Like I'm
You
good.
just feel so much better. Like
Yeah, yeah,
everything feels
yeah.
better.
And
Yeah.
talk about like aging also and anti-aging stuff. Like I definitely think drinking ages, even if it is only once in a while, I think it ages you like much faster.
Yeah. No, I totally, totally agree with that. So, yeah, lots of, I also cold plunge. There's a cold plunge down the street from Juna HQ. So we plunge. I exercise a lot. I do yoga. I do Pilates. Taylor, my co-founder, she introduced me to Body Rock. I don't know if you've ever done it, but
Oh
like
my
it's
God, no, but it sounds
absolutely amazing.
amazing.
It's amazing. I'm totally addicted because you just like you feel it. It's so good.
Yes.
Yeah, lot. Yeah, I mean, I weave in like different supplements. Like today, last night I steeped a bunch of holy basil, and so today I'm just like drinking all holy basil. So it comes in like
Yeah.
different ways and different waves.
And it sounds like it's more about an awareness. Like you have the tools, you understand the tools and what they're used for, and you wake up and you're like, how am I feeling and what do I need today? And it's like
Yeah,
connecting and having that awareness with your body, your brain, your gut, um,
yeah.
and
There's
following
definitely
that.
some non-negotiables, but then there's other things that are like, yeah, what is it today
Yeah.
that I need or don't need, honestly. That's
Yeah.
another one too.
How has I know you've been kind of an entrepreneur the whole way, like for
Yeah.
a lot of your adult life, but like how has how has it been? How has it been like running a supplement brand, like being in the wellness space, like starting a business during the pandemic? How are you doing?
Oh, um, I just love every second of it. I
Yeah.
really do. Like I've always
You
been,
that this is coming from someone whose brain is obviously trained. Like you love every second because you've put in the work to have that mindset. Let me like recognize that for you. If you don't, it's because you've put in the work to have that mindset because this shit is hard. Even when it's good, it's hard.
it is
Um,
really the resilience you have to have. I mean, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have it any other way. Yeah, I mean, I had my first business like while I was in college, after I had my oldest daughter, I launched a chocolate company, and it's just like it's all segued like one thing into the next, and it's all like every business has piggybacked off the next and kind
Mm-hmm.
of expanded into something bigger and more meaningful. Yeah, it's really hard being a woman founder and trying to raise money. I mean, that's been interesting for sure. Um, we don't need to go
Yes.
into that. But
That's a
I
whole
really
episode.
I really do love every minute of it. And yeah, there are hard days, but for me, that is just like fuel for me to make sure that I get through it and I come
Mhm.
out on the other side. My kids, both my daughters are like my biggest inspirations, and I feel like every time I have an obstacle or I'm down about something or having a hard day, I honestly think of them, and I feel like I have to
Yeah.
do something to turn it around and show them that they can like do whatever they want.
Yeah.
So
I
I
love
really
that.
do. And if I ever don't love it, I won't do it. You know,
Yeah.
like it has to serve you. It has to serve you on such a deep level and so many levels.
That's a really important statement because I think that a lot of founders don't realize that. And we can go into a business for certain reasons. As you said, it evolves. You said, I love how you just said your entire journey, every business has kind of been a stepping stone to kind of bring knowledge or whatever the experience was to create
Yeah.
the next one. And I think that's rare these days too. People think like you have an idea and like you create a 5-year plan and that's it. And like my experience has been very similar where it's like I just put one foot in front of the other and then all of a sudden here we are today. It's not like what my business is today was not in my plans when I started. um yeah. And I think that you speaking about, yeah, if it doesn't resonate, if it doesn't feel good, like you're out, I think that might actually be a key to why you why you love it so much. You know where your line is, where a lot of founders, there is no line. It's like, hey, we're in it and that's it. We forget about ourselves and lose ourselves completely, or that line moves, that's like, and I think that that is something really powerful that you don't hear a lot of founders speaking about. And it's a really good example and good reminder for me. So thank you. Um, because yeah, number one, like you have a wellness brand. If you want to serve others, you have to be serving yourself first.
Absolutely. I think, I've been fortunate in my life, and I think we all have had these experiences, but some people maybe don't recognize it. I've had these moments where I've had this intuition that I shouldn't be doing something
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
or I should be doing something,
Yes.
right? And that happens in the form of career, that sometimes happens in the form of people, like relationships, who I
Mm-hmm.
should be surrounding myself with and who I shouldn't be. And yeah, I've been fortunate enough to have the awareness of the experience that when I have not listened to my intuition, that there can be very serious consequences.
Yes.
And I just, I don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think like if I'm having this feeling, and if I don't act on it, I could really hurt other people around me or compromise their happiness. And that's so important. And that's something that I tell everyone at Juna too, like you first.
Yeah.
Like if
Yeah.
this isn't feeding you, then or whatever it is, whatever the situation is, if it isn't feeding you, the longer you hang on to it, the harder and the worse it's going to be.
Yes.
And it's
Yeah.
hard sometimes because it comes back to faith, really. You have to
Mm-hmm.
believe
Mm-hmm.
in yourself enough to know
Yeah.
that to trust yourself and know that what you're feeling, even as awful as it feels to remove yourself from a situation or from a person or from people or a place, that you have to know it's the right thing because your body's telling you.
Yeah. It's faith in yourself faith in the universe. Like certainty is another way. That's how they talk about it in Kabbalah. Having certainty that whatever choice you make is the right choice, and that, you know, everything will come in support of that. Yeah. I love that. And I just want to recap a couple of the like main points that we talked about, because this topic feels so important. So let's start with, okay, here are some the important things, and you chime in or correct me. Here are some of the most important things for brain health. The gut-brain connection.
Yeah.
Undeniable.
Yes.
Make sure that's good. And Juna has plenty of products that can help you support that. And I'm sure you guys share all kinds of information too, right?
Yes. Education's a huge pillar for us. Yeah.
Okay. So gut brain, less inputs, and definitely less dopamine hits.
Yes. Negative dopamine hits. Okay. And sleep. We need that ideally 90 minutes, 2 hours of deep sleep to wash the brain. Yep.
And actually, I want to touch on, because you guys have gummies, right, for sleep?
Yeah, I was just going to say, and we have a product that can help you there.
And gummies, I actually looked at your gummies, because everyone wants gum. Like, I want gummies, but the gummies on the market are actually garbage. And I looked at yours and I was like, whoa, these seem legit. So can you tell me about them real quick?
Yeah. So Taylor really wanted a gummy, and I was like, you know, we kind of talked about it, and we're like, it's contradictory. You know, why would we make a health product out of something that's, you know, filled, like loaded and coated with sugar, right?
Yeah.
And I said to her, and having been, you know, in the culinary business for several years, I said, if we do this is something that like we can't turn around in a couple months. Like this could take years. If we're going to do a gummy, it's going to be like the Juna way.
The gummy.
You know?
Yeah.
And so what we did was we basically like rewrote, you know, a gummy. So we broke it down and we replaced the sugar with allulose, which is a prebiotic fiber.
Yeah.
And then we we took a survey with all of our customers, and we asked them like what was the pain point of sleep? Was it falling asleep? Was it being anxious? Was it staying asleep? Was it waking up and not feeling rested? And we realized it was all of them.
I was gonna say, yes.
Like where the main focus was is that people were they were feeling like they were just never ever sleeping. And so we really focused on a formula that was going to help the body, that was going to push the body and the brain into that stage 3 deep sleep that I was talking about, when your brain starts to repair itself and regenerate. Yes. And so that's what our formula is all about. And it has phytomelatonin in it, which is plant-derived melatonin. It's derived from St. John's wort in the US, actually. It's the St. John's wort is harvested in Oregon and then derived. And it's game changing. We also used a study that was done, a clinical that was done by MIT 10 years ago, that said the optimal dose of melatonin for everybody was under a half a milligram. So it's 0.3 milligrams. And what that does is it almost works like a homeopathic. So it just like pushes your body to start creating
to do that.
It needs. And it literally,
That's
like
cool.
So many people are used to taking synthetic melatonin in like 5 to 10 milligrams, and they don't feel good. So they look at this dose and they think like, that's never going to work. I'm going to have this whole jar in order. And then they take one gummy, and we get emails every single day. Like, my life is completely different.
Oh my God.
Sleeping. They have 72 trace minerals, magnesium, passion flower, L-tryptophan, chamomile, hops. So basically what we've done, everything that Juna does is doctor formulated, science backed, everything's third party tested for potency and purity. And then we source very consciously for clean ingredients that you can trust. I mean, me coming from a culinary background, like I have such a connection to food and plants and the earth. And that's something that's been like really important. And that's not always easy when you have a supplement brand, especially when you're scaling. And like really stuck to that. So these gummies, they won't break a fast. So if you intermittent fast, they won't break a fast. They're doing work in your gut. They're doing work in your brain. They're pushing you into that stage 3 sleep, so they're cleaning your brain. They're absolutely amazing.
I can't wait to get some. Thank you to both you and Taylor for like doing this, for being so thoughtful and caring so much and being so transparent. Like that is not an easy journey, and it's so needed and so incredible. And you know, I'm sure you're hearing the feedback from your customers, but like it's really cool.
Thank you. I mean, we wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah, but also people like don't take the gummies and then lay there on your phone scrolling in bed. Like, let's put this all together, okay?
We say that. Like, we specifically tell you what temperature your room should be.
Yes. Ooh, I love that.
Like all, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a formula. There is a formula for the best sleep, for sure.
Yeah, like let's just start to be a little more conscious about these things. So again, I want to recap because I think there was one last one. So we've pay attention to the gut-brain connection. We get better sleep and get at least 2 hours or get around 2 hours of deep sleep so your brain can clean. Cut out the inputs, do a dopamine detox, be aware of like these, what are you calling them? The bad dopamine, negative dopamine hits.
Yeah.
Reduce those. And spend some time with yourself.
Yeah, slow down. Exactly. Honestly get to know yourself.
Yeah.
That's the first step for anyone if they want to change their brains, is really value who you are, love who you are. And if you don't, change that.
Yes. Yeah. There is nothing more worth putting in the work on. Yeah. Than loving yourself.
Exactly.
And something that I've said repeatedly, like you cannot love yourself until you know yourself. So like the path, that's the path through.
Yeah.
All right, Jewel, you have last question. You have 20 seconds with someone to say something so profound that it changes their life. What do you say?
Oh my gosh. Wow.
I know, sorry, really putting you on the spot. Not that you haven't already said enough profound, amazing things.
Gosh, that's so hard. I mean, the biggest thing that's coming to my mind right now is like, choose your routine before your routine chooses you. I think that's just because that's where I've been living so much.
Yeah, that's powerful in a lot of ways. Like, be a co-creator in your life in general, because otherwise life just happens and you're just stuck reacting.
Completely. I mean, we do it on email all day long. We constantly get emails all day long, and we find ourselves just reacting and responding versus actually doing what we want or need to be done in the day, right?
Yeah. That's one of the things I'm working on changing. Yeah. I need some brain coaching. I'm ready to do.
I'm here for you.
I'm ready to do a 180 on some things.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
I also need to meet your friend who moved to Sausalito. I'm like on that path as well.
Oh yeah, you too. Yes. Yeah. Life changing.
Yeah. Jewel, you are incredible. Thank you so much for all of this wonderful knowledge. Thank you for the products you guys put out. Can you share the best way for people to connect with you, to learn more about Juna?
Yes.
How do we find you?
Yes. So we are at junaworld.com. On Instagram and TikTok, we're at juna.world. We have great emails. Taylor and her team are absolutely, literally amazing. I think we have the best. I can say this, but I think we have the best emails. You'll learn a lot. You'll laugh a lot. And you'll get a lot of statistics. So you'll be amazed at the science that comes through those as well. My personal handle is Jewel_Zimmer on Instagram. And we have promo code EXPANDERS. If you visit our website for 20% off any Juna products.
Awesome. We will make sure to put that in the show notes. But I'm about to be your #1 VIP customer because I'm I need all of these. I need to load my husband up on them. Like I've got some big plans for our brain and gut health.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, thank you so much for this. You're incredible, and the wisdom you shared today, I think our listeners are really going to resonate, and it's really going to help a lot of people.
Thank you for having me, and likewise.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you all for hanging with us and listening. Make sure you check out Juna and their products. Follow Jewel on Instagram, and there is a lot of really valuable information in this one. So share it with a friend, share it with a family member. Like, we did not share anything that is like so overwhelming or so groundbreaking. Like, these are goals that are really and things that are really executable and achievable. And even adjusting your life 10%, 20% following these things that Jewel shared could make a huge difference. So, protect your brain health, protect your family's brain health, protect your loved ones, and share this information with them. All right. Thank you all. We'll see you next time.